The Caitlin Clark injury situation is officially a mess because not only is there not more clarity, there's more confusion about what her timeline could be. And that's coming on the heels of it seeming to be pretty clear when Clark would return to the court, or about when she would return to the court. It was said on the ESPN broadcast on August 12th that Stephanie White hoped Clark would be back in practice this week. Open portion of practice, Clark is not seen. And Stephanie White afterwards said it's status quo until Clark is back at practice.
It seems Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever management may have tried to quietly sweep Caitlin Clark's situation under the rug, hoping fans wouldn't catch on. But guess what? Supporters didn't notice, and they've got the timelines, videos, and details to prove it. What was originally presented as a simple training mishap now appears far more questionable, raising eyebrows across the WNBA community. When loyal fans who pay for tickets, tune into games, and buy merchandise feel they're being misled, it's more than just poor communication. It opens the door to serious concerns, even the possibility of an official inquiry into misleading practices. This story is heating up fast.
It's getting crazy. It's getting spooky real fast. Very, very fast. I told y'all, people have had enough. All of y'all in the Indiana Fever organization who have been lying about this girl injury, not being transparent, and all these things that the fans are feeling, the fans are speaking back. They do not appreciate it. They feel scammed, they feel lied to, and they feel used.
This isn't just a minor slip-up. It's a full-on credibility crisis. Coach White went on national TV, delivered a polished statement about Clark's recovery schedule, and smiled through it. But here's the issue. The dates don't line up. And when the numbers don't match, fans won't stay quiet. IN 2025. Everything is documented. Screenshots are permanent. And people aren't blindly accepting official narratives anymore. So the real question is, do you still believe the Fever's injury updates? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
DOJ and FTC to investigate WNBA's misleading practices. Wow. So we are here now. And what's crazy about all of this is that, guys, this is I'm not going to come on here and say that they're going to lose, because if there was an investigation going into this team, they're not going to lose this investigation. Oh, they're going to win. Whoever is representing Caitlin is going.
Let's backtrack for a second. Caitlin Clark first tweaked her groin in mid-July after a rough collision with JCS Sheldon. At the time, the team called it day-to-day, with hopes of gradually ramping her up for a late August return. Pretty standard, right? But as that target date got closer, things suddenly shifted. Out of nowhere, a new injury story appeared. The official explanation? Clark supposedly picked up a setback during a workout on August 7th. Convenient, clean, PR-friendly. Only problem, fans aren't buying it. Video from that same day shows Clark casually moving around in Phoenix, looking fine, relaxed, and definitely not like someone dealing with a fresh injury. Something doesn't add up here.
Right? I know there's never been a direct timeline, but all the signs seem to point in the direction of Clark returning soon. Even Natasha Howard saying, "See you soon, CC." Now it's like, wait and see. And there's further information coming out that Clark suffered a bit of an ankle injury in the midst of her recovery process. Did that hinder her return? One reporter saying yes, another reporter is saying no. Bottom line is, we need to know a little bit more. We don't need Caitlin Clark's in-depth medical report, but it's fair for fans to wonder if the Fever and the league's biggest star is going to return to the floor this season, or what the chances are. And she's been out of action for 5 weeks, so it's not as if some patience hasn't.
Instead of coming clean about the shaky timeline, White and the PR team decided to stick to their version of events. And that's when things really spiraled, from awkward to downright insulting. Some of the reporters covering the Fever didn't just repeat the unlucky workout story, they laughed about it on air. Not nervous laughter, but actual chuckles, as if sidelining the league's biggest star was some kind of joke. Think about that for a second. The player who drives ticket sales, boosts viewership, and is literally the face of women's basketball gets hurt, and the coverage sounds like late-night comedy. No wonder fans weren't just puzzled, they were furious.
Fever's got $1 billion entity on their team. $1 billion damn dollars. And they're a bunch of clowns, a bunch of bozos. You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional. The way this has been handled, oh, it's a joke. It's a joke. Look, and look, they can't say anything about conspiracy theories. You're complicit in creating them because you won't be open and you won't be honest.
This is exactly why the Fever's credibility feels like it's in free fall. Spinning a story to protect a player isn't new. Every team does it. But crossing the line into flat-out deception while smiling for the cameras, that's not just careless, it's disrespectful. IT send the message. We think fans are naive enough to swallow this whole. But here's the reality. Today's fans aren't naive, and the internet never forgets. Screenshots, videos, and timelines live forever, and people are already connecting the dots. The deeper they dig, the worse it looks for franchise.
You got this video right here that a lot of you have already seen. I just saw it in the last couple of days of Caitlin getting stepped on by a coach right there on the left.
Stepped on by the coach, and I think she's going to be all right based upon the grin on her face. But
the left foot, the one that's got the issue, she got stepped on. And today, I'm not even going to say Indiana Fever fans, Caitlin Clark fans are crashing out at a different level. And I don't blame them.
And here's the real kicker. It feels like the franchise is trying to bury the actual incident. Fans haven't forgotten that controversial game where assistant coach Brian January appeared to step on Caitlin Clark's foot. That moment didn't just disappear. It was quietly swept under the rug, replaced with this neat little workout mishap story. Oh, which version are we supposed to believe? Was it a random accident during private training? Or did it happen under the watch of the very staff meant to protect her? Because if it's the second scenario, we're no longer talking about bad luck. We're talking about negligence. And when negligence gets paired with misleading statements to the public, it's the kind of storm that doesn't just attract league attention. It makes sponsors and watchdogs start asking questions too. Meanwhile, Clark herself is stuck in the middle of this spin cycle. Every time she addresses her recovery, the responses sound recycled. Working hard, feeling good, just unlucky. But longtime fans know her voice. This doesn't sound like Caitlin. It sounds like PR scripting, the type of copy written to calm the ticket holders and cool off social media. The timing feels too polished, the messaging too careful, and the authenticity is nowhere to be found.
This practice isn't just disappointing, it's deceptive. Fans invested their hard-earned money in tickets, streaming packages, and merchandise under the belief that they were being given honest information. Instead, it appears coordinated efforts were made between the league and team communications to present a facade of hopeful updates, masking the true status of a beloved player's.
And here's the part that has fans feeling flat out insulted. Caitlin Clark isn't some wide-eyed rookie anymore. She's in her second year, the face of the league, and the main reason arenas are selling out across the country. Yet the Fever are treating her like a chess piece they can move around with half-truths and spin. Imagine if this were the NBA. If a coach was involved in injuring LeBron James or Steph Curry, and then the organization tried to downplay it. There would be wall-to-wall coverage, league investigations, and jobs on the line. But in the WNBA, silence. Instead, you got media voices chuckling along like everything is business. As usual, AT this point, the Fever's credibility isn't just bruised, it's in shreds. And right in the middle of the storm is Stephanie White. This isn't simply a case of bad optics. It edges dangerously close to something bigger, selling tickets and promoting broadcasts around Clark while not being honest about her condition. That's not just poor communication. That veers into deceptive practices. And deceptive practices are exactly the kind of thing that bring lawyers, spook sponsors, and open doors to investigations the Fever definitely don't want knocking.
Fans felt excited when they purchased tickets, believing they'll watch Caitlin Clark shine on the court. However, that excitement turned to disappointment as misleading injuries kept fueling false hopes that she had played the WNBA. And hold up. Damn, is they finna get her for line? Is they finna get her for line to the fans? Oh my God. Hold up. The WNBA and Indiana Fever Indiana Fever have repeatedly engaged in what seems to be a strategic ploy to drive ticket sale and merchandise sales by suggesting that Caitlin Clark return was on the horizon. Holy ish right now, bro. Oh my God, it's about to get red.
Here's where things get really wild. The theory that fans can't stop talking about. What if this isn't just sloppy handling, but something far more intentional? Caitlin Clark stormed into the league like a tidal wave, breaking records and drawing in crowds the WNBA had never seen before. Almost instantly, the story around her started to change. She's too small. She has to add muscle. She's not built for the grind. So what happens next? She's rushed into an aggressive strength plan. Her body wears down, and now her sophomore season is riddled with setbacks. That doesn't look like bad luck. That looks like poor management. And when you start tracing those decisions, all roads lead straight back to White and her staff.
Like they were lying about her injury as far as like the severity of it. I think it's a really bad injury. I think when they rushed her back that one time, I think she hurt it even more and it pushed the timeline back.
Trying to come back and come back quickly. She needs to make sure that she's 100%. Her competitor wants to play. We're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing.
As bad as it might sound, I think it might be like a season-ending level type of injury, and they're hoping to get in the playoffs and they can somehow get her going.
Fans are already calling for Clark to ditch the Fever's medical staff and return to the trusted doctors she had back in Iowa. Honestly, who could blame them? If the team isn't being transparent about when the injury even happened, what else might they be hiding? Are they downplaying how serious it is? Are they planning to push her back onto the court too soon just to keep ticket sales rolling? Those aren't wild conspiracies. They're fair questions when leadership refuses to give clear answers. The silence speaks volumes, and it feels less like caution and more like a cover-up. Stephanie White seems to think she can step the podium, flash a smile, and repeat this workout injury, lying as if fans won't connect the dots. But the more she clings to that version, the more holes appear, and with each repetition her credibility sinks further. Instead of shielding Caitlin Clark, White has made her the focal point of a growing controversy, one that could easily attract the attention of investigators, sponsors, and watchdogs.
The craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day. And then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court. And just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings. And then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing. So they changed it from a game time decision to her.
Fever fans have had enough. They've seen Clark take brutal fouls, absorb elbows, get ignored by refs, and now they're watching her own franchise mishandle her career. Imagine being the most anticipated women's basketball star in decades, selling out arenas, breaking TV records, only be misled about your health by the very organization that's supposed to protect you. That's not just sloppy management. That's malpractice. And if the Fever keep walking this path, the consequences won't stop at angry fans. They could be staring down investigations. Because here's the reality. Caitlin Clark isn't just another athlete. Right now, she is a WNBA. She's a force driving ticket sales, ratings, sponsorships, and mainstream buzz. Take her out of the equation and the ripple effect is instant. Attendance dips, broadcasts lose viewers, and corporate partners start questioning their investments. That's why Stephanie White's injury narrative isn't just a bad look. It edges dangerously close to consumer deception. Think about it. If people are buying tickets under the impression Clark might play while the franchise already knows she won't, that's not spin. That's false advertising. And false advertising is exactly the kind of thing that triggers lawsuits and sponsor panic.
This has been all over the place, and I get it to a certain extent. The fans, the media does not need to know every little thing that's going on with Caitlin Clark's injuries, especially a star player like that. We will never know all the information, nor should we know all the information. And that's actually good for Caitlin. It protects her for when she does come back on the court. She can't be targeted. Teams can't use a certain injury or ailment against her if people don't really know what is going on. But the reporting of her timeline in general, there has been no rhyme or reason to what has been shared about.
Let's be real. The timing doesn't pass the smell test. Just as Clark was catching fire, lifting the fever out of obscurity and lighting up the entire league, she suddenly shelved with a vague, hard-to-believe injury timeline. The team's surge fizzles, the season derails, and all that momentum evaporates. Whether it happened on purpose or not, the effect is the same: sabotage. And rather than stepping back, Coach White doubled down. She went in front of cameras, sold the workout accident narrative, and in doing so, only poured gasoline on the backlash.
WNBA, y'all have to figure it out. The people have had enough. I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm talking about. This thing is picking up steam, and it's a bad look. It's a bad look. It's a bad look, all because you guys refuse to be transparent about Caitlin Clark injuries and injuries.
But this isn't just about one shady excuse. To fans, it feels like part of a bigger trend. Ever since Clark stepped into the league, she's been met with disrespect at every level. Refs letting hard contact slide. Analysts dissecting her mistakes more than anyone else's. Opponents taking extra shots at her. And now, her own coach layering deception on top of it all to TO the public. It almost looks intentional, like the league itself is uneasy with how fast her star power has risen and wants to slow her momentum. But here's the twist. Every hard foul, every missed whistle, every false statement only fuels her supporters more. Instead of silencing her spotlight, it strengthens the army of fans ready to defend her at all costs.
Anybody who saw this could have maybe thought something was up. Breanne January stepping on Caitlin Clark here. August 9th. Left ankle. That's where the bone bruise supposedly happened. On August 7th, which is what is being shared now. And, you know, some of these things you hear rumblings about, and you don't know exactly.
Still, the danger here can't be brushed aside. Caitlin Clark isn't a robot. She's an athlete with limits. Every poorly handled injury, every premature comeback, every polished PR excuse chips away at her future. That's the real nightmare. The league's brightest star being worn down before she even reaches her peak, all because her own team couldn't show honesty or caution. If it comes to that, the fallout won't just sting. It'll go down in history. And the finger won't just point at the fever. Stephanie White herself will be remembered as a coach who failed to protect the player holding the entire league on her shoulders.
Lawsuits. Fans, y'all, we might have a case here. We might have a case to sue not only the Indiana Fever, but the WNBA for misleading us, having us thinking Caitlin Clark was going to come back, because we all remember when Stephanie White was on ESPN, she stated Caitlin Clark was on her way to come back and practice and get ready to make a return of a lifetime to the Indiana Fever. Oh, yeah, she said that when around the 12th. Well, judging off your sources, if she got hurt around the 7th, you knew prior to you going to ESPN that Caitlin Clark wasn't coming back when you said she was going to come back. You're lying. You're lying and you're misleading, and it's looking real spooky, and I'm happy the fans are standing.
Stephanie White has already guaranteed fallout with her dishonesty. This wasn't damage control. It was gasoline on a fire. Now every word she says is under a microscope. Fans are collecting receipts, spotting contradictions, and spreading them across social media that it's not just local chatter anymore. National reporters are circling, and when the bigger outlets lock in, the Fever won't just be battling frustrated fans. They'll be staring down sponsors pulling away, headlines they can't spin, and maybe even regulators asking tough questions. Because this goes beyond bad optics. It could cross into legality if you're selling tickets, TV spots, and merchandise off the back of your star player while hiding the truth about her status. That's textbook consumer fraud. Regulators and watchdog groups don't shrug that off. Once the words false advertising hit the press, the Fever could be looking at fines, lawsuits, and corporate partners demanding answers. And here's the cruelest twist. Caitlin Clark knows it. She's too smart not to see the holes in the story, too sharp not to catch the scripted spin. But she's boxed in force a smile for the cameras and stay quiet, because publicly challenging her own coach mid-season would get her labeled difficult. She's trapped in silence inside her own story, and that's what makes this scandal so heartbreaking.
Right? People have been trying to stay invested because the GOAT was supposed to be coming back. I mean, seriously. So let's just take a little of the temperature in the room. I'm not happy with the Fever front office and their fan communications. I have tickets I paid for months ago to go to next Tuesday's game. I have airline tickets. I have hotel, restaurant reservations.
So where does this lead? There are really only two outcomes. Either the Fever own up to their mistakes, come clean, and finally start treating Caitlin Clark like the centerpiece she is. Or more likely, they keep doubling down. Fans will keep piling up evidence, and sooner or later, the pressure will explode. When it does, Stephanie White won't just regret the cover-up. She'll regret underestimating Clark's fan base, the media's reach, and the very real chance of an investigation that could rock the WNBA itself. Because if this deception holds, the Fever aren't just facing online outrage. They're facing something much more dangerous, potential probes into misleading business practices. Think about it. If fans bought tickets believing Clark would be on the court, while the team quietly knew otherwise, that opens the door to lawsuits, not just individual complaints, class actions, hefty fines, and corporate sponsors walking away until the mess is cleaned up. And sponsors won't look the other way. Their investments hinge on Clark's star power, not on a franchise spinning shaky narratives about her health. If they sense dishonesty, they won't just back off quietly. They'll take their money with them.
I am devastated that Sophie Cunningham is now out, and I would like to know if Caitlin Clark will be playing. It's not too much to ask. The Fever need to be more transparent. Absolutely. Absolutely. I shared that. A lot of fans are in this exact situation. Come on. If Caitlin Clark is gone for the year, it's time to show a pair and admit it. Admit it. I got to tell you guys, it's time to go to Fever social media and began demanding, is Caitlin Clark coming back this year?
And don't think a league office can just sit this out. Once national media begins digging in, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and WNBA leadership will be forced to respond. That could mean independent medical evaluations, tighter injury disclosure rules, or even a formal review of how the Fever handled Clark's situation. The moment the words league investigation are attached, this stops being bad publicity and becomes a full-blown crisis. At the core of it all is trust. Trust between fans and the franchise, between sponsors and the league, between players and the front office. And right now, every misleading statement about Clark's health chips away at that trust. Once it's gone, rebuilding it won't be easy.
Of communication between league officials and team medical reports raised concerns of coordinated misrepresentation rather than independent, factual reporting. The coordinated messages suggest an underlying intent to protect revenue streams at the expense of fan loyalty and trust. Economic harm has been inflicted on countless fans who, based on false pretenses, spent money they have not otherwise parted with. They might not have otherwise parted with if they had known Caitlin Clark wouldn't be taken.
At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's the face of women's basketball, the kind of star the WNBA has rarely seen. That means she deserves transparency, protection, and respect. The confusion and mixed signals around her injury aren't just sloppy, they're risky. They put her career at stake, cast doubt on the Fever's credibility, and could damage the league's long-term growth. This is bigger than one player. Fans have every right to demand clarity. Sponsors have reason to expect accountability. And the media has a responsibility to press harder, because Clark deserves far better than this uncertain, "So what's your take? Is this a simple mistake or the beginning of a scandal the league won't be able to hide from?" Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.